All right. Hey, folks, it is a Friday lunch stream. We're going to do some game design. We're creating 4th level characters for the Martial Powers playtesting that we are conducting on my Discord, link down below, on Saturday mornings. So we're making some simple characters utilizing basic mana mechanics, leaning more into feats, masteries, and fighting styles than powers that expend mana to demonstrate that complex systems don't have to be complicated for players to learn. So give me a second here. I'm going to check my signal and make sure we're going live here. I'm going to do a quick intro. For anyone that's already familiar with the channel, you can skip ahead a minute and I'll catch up with you on the other side of the bump. But in the meantime, I am checking my signal here to see if we are active, and it sounds like check. Yeah, I can hear myself faintly, which is good because I didn't want to be really loud. So that's good. Pressing buttons here to clear my social media. And chunk here. And you know what? We're just gonna run. We're just gonna keep it tight today. So that's done. I've been a DM in Dungeons and Dragons since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since '99. I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018, which includes the color mana system that we created to replace Vancian Magic's 8 schools and spell slots to instead have a color magic system, 5 colors of magic. And a mana point system that you tap or burn mana of the appropriate color to cast the spells. But that's only for the spellcasters. What I really want to have is a unified character system that allows all 13 character classes to use the same mana mechanics. So if you want to play a Magic the Gathering campaign, then all of your characters can be expressed through the color mana system, both as an alignment queue and for all your actual game mechanics. So without further ado, let's dive into today. Oh yeah, just a quick wrap up. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Hey, thanks a lot for subscribers. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notification of when we're live in the future. The Martial Powers playtest document that we're using is, you click this here, and again, it takes you here to the Martial Power system. For you, it's going to be a read-only document for now, but you will have access to this on the DMsGuild once it's completed. And here are a slew of other books that I've already created on the DMsGuild, including the Color Magic Spell Point variant rules here. They're all free previews. Check them out, explore them. If you think my ideas are cool, consider making a purchase to encourage similar behavior in the future. Otherwise, jump into my Discord if you're interested in sharpening your knives and slinging mana around with us in a mega dungeon. I'm going to be using Roll20 today. We are creating a simple barbarian. I'm going to pluck this tab into its own window so I can bounce back and forth. We're going to first focus on, let's fetch D&D Beyond, so we can look at the new Barbarian to reference as needed in our creation process here. But in the actual document itself, here's our stack of powers that you can select as like a spell casting. And for those that aren't completely indoctrinated yet and you're new to the channel, well, A, welcome to the mix. I stream 10 times per week, either artwork or game design. But the Martial Power system is a half casting progression from ranks of power 1 to 5 on the 1, 5, 9, 13, 17 array, which is where your stats, your proficiency increases, as well as half casters gain new spell levels like paladins, rangers, artificers do. We use a short rest mana like the monk. So monk's focus or key points is now also just mana. And we start with 1 mana at first level, which we regain on a short rest. We have 4 prepared powers starting at first level. And you have a D6 power die. Power die is like a martial arts die, superiority die, bardic inspiration die that when you're making D20 tests or rolling damage, power dice increase the results that you roll or are added to the results that you roll. In the case of, like, for example, if I was 9th level and I used 3 mana, I now have a D8, and at 17th level, I have a D10. If I were to, like, say at 9th level, use a life-stealing strike, for instance, then I would do an extra 3d8 damage, and in the instance of life strike, it would either be necrotic or radiant damage, and then I would gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the results of all 3 power dice rolled together. So it works very much like a Paladin Smite in that sense. But, like, for example, if I were to use enhanced ability to make a stealth check to try to hide, and I spent 3 mana, I make my stealth check, I pop my 3 points of mana, I would roll 3 8-sided dice, but I would only keep the best result. So in that sense, you're risking more mana, but you're more likely to get a higher result. So there's a risk-reward balance there that you yourself will know what feels right to ramp into or to back off of. And though we don't get very much mana over the course of our 20 levels, and some of these classes can be very mana intense, while in combat we can use empowered actions. You sacrifice action economy to generate temporary mana that can be used during your turn. So if I don't move this turn, I can gain a free point of mana. If I sacrifice my bonus action, depending on your character level, or rather the max rank of power that I've acquired as a multi-class character, that determines how much temporary mana I get during my turn. Attacks, if I have an attack, I can take the attack action, and then if I sacrifice attacks from that action, I can generate a free point of mana for each one. And we're limited to expending 1 point of mana per power that we channel based on the max rank. So I could theoretically pop like 3 or 4 powers in one turn, but they're each going to cost me 1 or more points of mana to do so. So being able to generate action, to be able to generate additional mana allows you to do more with less. So it's a fun balancing system that so far it's really panning out pretty well in comparison to full casters. The kind of flashbang Nova power, AoE, and save or die effects that full casters have is complemented by the just repetitive pop of being able to throw in different magical effects during the course of your round by either sacrificing your action economy to become reliable and doing it every round of combat, or you can either Nova yourself and burn through your mana pool quickly, and then, of course, out of combat, you don't generate mana with action economy because you don't have action economy outside of combat. So it's a very balanced system in that sense. So we're going to build a Barbarian today using the 2024 rules that have been modified by the martial power system that we have here. Again, this full document is completely available for you guys to check out right now. It's read only, but that's to respect the tenets of the DMsGuild of making sure that I'm not publishing in more than one place. This technically isn't published. You can't even copy it. So, and it's not edited yet. It's not laid out yet. It's going to be, well, if you check out all the other books that I've created so far, you'll see all the artwork that I make and the kind of mechanical decisions that I make as a designer. And we're finding that 2024 is incredibly complementary to the ideas that we have in this book already. So I'm excited about that. So the Barbarian here, again, same scaffolding, ranks of power, 1, 5, 9, 13, 17. Channeling power is not casting a spell, and you don't concentrate on any of these effects. So we can retain the spirit of rage by walking around it, by making completely different magical effects that are not spell casting. These are all aggressive, instantaneous effects that pop as you spend your mana on them. So let me double check. Okay, cool. Screen looks good. There's powers. Okay, great. So we're going to be 4th level characters. Let's see. We still retain rage, which is normal. We still have our unarmored defense, which is normal. The channeling class feature is a new thing that we are introducing with the martial power system. And primal power and empowered rage let's go visit those real quick. And then at second level, we have Danger Sense, which hasn't changed. Reckless Attack, which hasn't changed. Barbarian subclass, same as usual. And then the primal skills that we get, I like that from the 2024 book. That is retained as well. So we want to look at Empowered Rage and Primal Power. Let's see. Empowered Rage, starting at level 1. At first level, you can extend the duration of your rage by 1 round when you channel a maneuver in addition to the normal means of doing so, attacking, forcing a target to make a save, or spending your bonus action. In addition, you can expend a use of rage to regain 1 point of... In addition, you can expend a use of rage to regain 1 point of mana, and you can expend any amount of mana to regain an equal number of spent rages. And since these are... Okay, so the empowered actions, just to touch on that again here real quick with y'all. The only things that you can use the temporary mana for, it's during combat, and has to be spent on exploits, which modify die rolls and actions, maneuvers, which are either magical or are either magic action or bonus action to trigger as like point and click effects, and then strike powers, which are when you hit somebody, you spend mana to ramp the damage and cause conditions like the old 2014 Paladin would. So those are the 3 things that we can use empowered actions, the temporary mana gained from empowered actions. So in this instance where we're looking at the Empowered Rage, it's not listed as an exploit, as a maneuver, or as a strike. So you can't generate mana to produce rage. You have to spend your own mana to create rage. And again, you can spend uses of rage to regain mana as you wish. And then there's also Primal Power, which is while raging, you can expend Barbarian hit dice, no action required, instead of mana to channel powers. When you do, an equal number of power dice, if rolled, are replaced with D12s. So instead of at first level, instead of getting a D6 with the mana that you're generating or the mana that's in your pool to channel powers, you can roll a D12 if you burn your hit dice. So while raging, you can spend Barbarian hit dice. And so if I'm like a multi-class fighter Barbarian, and like I'm 3rd level Barbarian, 16th level fighter, I still only have 3 Barbarian hit dice to spend on D12s. A D12 is actually pretty useful. It's worth keeping in consideration. And then we have Primal Skills, which replaces Primal Knowledge. And this is you gain proficiency in an additional skill of your choice from the Barbarian skill list. In addition, while your rage is active, you can channel power when you attempt certain tasks. Whenever you make an ability check using one of the following skills, you can use your channeling ability score instead: acrobatics, intimidation, perception, stealth, survival. In addition, when you spend additional mana as an exploit, rolling 1 power die per mana expended, adding the highest. Let's see. In addition, you can spend additional mana as an exploit, rolling 1 power die per mana expended up to your max channeling limit. So at first level, it's 1. Well, it's 3rd level. So at 3rd level, you still only have 1st rank. So you would be capped at 1 mana, adding the highest roll to your result. So that's a really useful ability. We have sustained powers down below that allow you to ramp similarly. But let me just double check the language on that. In addition, I'm going to add this to a separate line so it stands out. In addition, you can expend mana as an exploit, rolling 1 power. So you can generate mana to do so. Power mana up to your max channel limit, adding the highest roll to your results. So that talks about, like, if I had 3 mana, I could spend all 3 of it to roll power dice, and then I would keep the best result and add it to one of these things. And just to touch base, up here we have options. You can either use your strength, constitution, or charisma as your channeling ability score, and it's your choice. Channeling is DC 8 plus prof plus ability modifier. You also gain a pool of martial points gained mana, and you can prepare that, and you can prepare martial powers above. Let's double check here. Brutal Power at 9. Alternate Strike, Primal Skills. Double checking. Empower Rage, Primal Power. God, I really like the idea of adding your Rage bonus. In addition, while your Rage is active, you can channel power when you attempt certain tasks. Whenever you make an ability check using one of the following skills, you can use your channeling ability score instead. Fuck all y'all. I'm going to do this instead and add your Rage bonus. Ooh, no. Let's do it different. Instead, there you go. So while you're raging, you can use these and use your, say, strength score instead. In addition, you can expend mana as an exploit, rolling 1 power die per mana expended up to your max channel limit, adding the highest roll to your result. Plus your Rage bonus to the result. I like that. That feels good. So you have to expend Rage. As an exploit, that means I can generate mana in combat to do these things. But outside of combat, I actually have to spend my mana pool. So I'm pretty happy. Your stealth is something that's going to come up in combat. Perception is going to come up in combat. Intimidation can come up in combat. Acrobatics can come up in combat. I'm going to include athletics. Because although athletics is a core strength ability, we can use a different modifier for it instead. So they didn't add it to the list because athletics defaults to strength, but you aren't beholden to the strength score as your ability modifier for a skill. You don't have to do that. So I think it's actually important to include athletics in the list of channeled skills. Let's see. So that's Brutal Power. We don't get that until 9th level, so we don't have to worry about right now. So cool. Let's add some class features real quick. And hey, Steve, it's good to see you, my guy. Rage. I am always back. I am the constant. I have a constant presence. What can I say? And we're not going to go all the flesh out, like all the little bits and everything throughout, like ancestry, like your species and stuff like. Although I want to make this character a Minotaur, I'm going to do that off screen because that's not as exciting. But Rage, we have unarmed ward bonus, unarmored defense. I do want to include all these things though. Channeling, strength. Thank you, Timely Timer. Let's see what else we got. Empowered Rage. Primal Power. Danger Sense. And Reckless Attack. And Primal Skills. That's our stack of class features. And then we got our species features, background features, magical items, subclass. I haven't picked a subclass yet either. I'm not sure exactly what we want to do. 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. Barbarian, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know, what subclass do we want? I know we have 4 powers. Attacks, spells, powers. Let's go with 1, 2, 3, 4 feats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Powers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And no spells. Let's see. What do we want to do? Wait. Oh, yeah. Maybe Path of Berserker makes a lot of sense. Wild Heart. World Tree. Zealot. Nah, let's go with Berserker. That sounds fun. Okay, so we gain bonus powers. We get 2 at 3rd, 5th, 9th, 13th, 17th when we gain our subclass feature. When we gain our subclass, as well as every time we rank up throughout the course of our character's career. So we're going to get alert for free. Feat. Alert. And we're going to get Dire Impact. It's going to be Berserk. Sub equals subclass equals sustained power 1, Dire Impact, and we'll look at that. Super sweet. And then we get, let's see, those are our 2 bonus powers. We have our subclass features. I'm looking at Dire Impact and Retaliate. My bad. Retaliate is reaction. Let's fix that. Reaction 1, and we'll look at both of these. Retaliate. And then we have, so those are our bonuses. We have Frenzy. And Frenzy does, if you hit when using Reckless Attack while your rage is active, you deal 1 extra power die of damage. This can be added to any mana spent to channel a strike power. So normally at 3rd level, I can spend 1 point of mana on a strike power. This lets me add a 2nd die to that in addition to the whatever the effects are. So we're going to add, that's the wrong color. So let's open up a document, cut, paste, and let's see, what other cool class feature do we have? That's it, that's all we get. So we get our 2 bonus powers and the Frenzy. So let's go take a look at what, let's look at Dire Impact and Retaliate. So let's see which one we get. Retaliate is a reaction, and reactions are as they sound. A trigger condition happens, you do the thing. And in this instance, Retaliate is as a reaction to taking damage, you can make an attack against the attacker if it's within range, if it's within reach of your weapon. As a reaction to taking damage from an attack. There you go. You can make an attack against the attacker. Attack. You can make an attack against the attacker if it's within reach of your weapon. As a reaction to taking damage, you can make a weapon attack against the attacker if it's within reach of your weapon. There you go. That costs you a point of mana to use normally, but we're going to juice it, and we're going to talk about juicing here in a second. So first thing, I just want to at least just grab the language here now. And so we're going to first just add these things in. Beep, beep, beep. And then so Retaliate equals, as a reaction to taking damage from an attack, you can make a weapon attack against the attacker if it's within reach of your weight. If the target is within, if it's within reach of your weapon. Good enough. And then Dire Impact, we're going to go visit. As a sustained power, and again, you don't concentrate on anything, but a sustained power is something that you you spend mana to buff yourself with. And depending on your rank is how many how much mana you can sustain at the same time. So a 3rd level Barbarian has access to 1st rank and can channel up to 1 mana at a time. So at 17th level, I am 5th rank. I can channel up to 5 mana at a time. So when we go down to sustained powers, a sustained power is the amount of, like for example, Dire Impact is a 1st rank power. It requires 1 mana to sustain Dire Impact. There's no concentration. It stays active until you are incapacitated or targeted with a Dispel magic, resolving as usual. If you are taking a short rest while sustaining powers, you've technically not spent the mana yet. You can't use the mana for anything else, but it's what we would refer to as being tapped, which means that the mana is in use, but it hasn't been burned yet. So when you take a short rest, you recover all expended mana. But that tapped mana to sustain Dire Impact hasn't actually been spent yet. So there's nothing to recover. That way you can't cheat the system of sustaining a bunch of powers and then take a short rest to get your full mana pool back. You can't do it that way. So that is a way for you to mitigate, like to prevent optimizing, min-maxing, and gaming the system, as it were. So what does Dire Impact do? While sustaining this power, you can add 1 plus your max rank of power, and at 3rd level it would be 1, so 1, that's 2, to your weapon damage rolls. In addition, when you roll 1 or more power dice to deal damage, any power die that rolls below your max rank of power increases the result of that roll to equal your max rank of power. So at 1st level, you only have 1st rank power. You can't roll below 1, so it's not very useful. But it only costs 1 point, and by the time you get to, like, say 13th level, 4 is your minimum. You get 4th rank of power at 13th level, and you're using at 13th level you're using a D8. So when you roll your power dice, if you roll below a 4, it rounds up to a 4, and the amount of damage that you deal is going to be 4 plus 1. So at 13th level, every time you hit while sustaining this power, you're dealing an extra 5 points of damage. So it ramps over time. It's pretty useful, especially when you're throwing power dice on top of stuff, because you're going to get, at worst, an average result. So there's a lot of value there, and it costs 1 point. At 5th level, when I get 2nd rank of power, just to bookend that conversation about sustaining powers, at 5th level, when I gain 2nd rank, I could either sustain a 2nd rank power, of which we had a bunch of cool ones, or I could sustain 2 1st rank powers and stack the effects together. So you can come up with really cool combinations. By the time you get to 17th level, you can have a really cool kit of sustained powers that you have active on your character all at the same time to work together to help you create the results that you want. And as we continue to ascend in levels in future, we'll look at what those configurations can be. So for now, let's go with, let's go here, eep, eep, beep, 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 there. While sustaining this power, you can add +2 to your weapon damage rolls. In addition, when you roll 1 or more power dice to deal damage, any power die that rolls below, well, it doesn't matter right now because you can't roll below 1. So I can actually eliminate that entire line for now. But once we get to 5th level, I'll update this to include that, saying if on a power die, if you roll less than a 2, the result is considered a 2. So those are my 2 powers for now. And now let's go look again at the Barbarian in general. Okay, so those are our bonus powers that we get. Let's look at prepared powers. So we get a total of 4 prepared powers. And these prepared powers can be any of these mana effects of 1st rank. But we also can, let's look at it. So, and then we have meta powers, which we can also prepare. If you don't want to spend mana, you can pick up a bunch of meta powers, which include Combat masteries, and we've talked about this before. Combat masteries expands on the idea of weapon masteries. So weapon masteries is each weapon in the player's handbook has a weapon mastery as a property of that weapon. The way that Wizards presented it, they were shy about using their new toys. So you have to prepare a specific type of weapon mastery, and if the weapon you're using happens to also have that mastery as a property, you can then use that weapon mastery. But otherwise, you're basically taking a feat to use a weapon. It is essentially is what they're doing, and that's very limiting, and it kind of almost takes a step towards resolving the divide between casters and marshals, but because you have to prepare each one separately, it really doesn't. So what we do instead is the way that the martial power system works is that if your character has a channeling class feature, like our Barbarian does, if a character with the channeling class feature is proficient with a weapon, you can use the mastery listed as its property automatically. So you can just use it. Whether you've prepared it or not, whether you know it or not, doesn't matter. Like if a longsword has the Vex property, if I hit with the sword, I can use the Vex property, which means I'll get advantage to hit with that sword again before the end of my next turn. So I've given myself advantage at some point to attack again. So Vex is useful, but the way that Combat Masteries works is that it's a 0 mana strike effect. So it's a strike effect. So when I'm doing strikes, I can either spend mana to do strikes, or I can spend 0 mana to do a strike, which is then a mastery. Masteries don't deal extra damage, but they do cause an effect. And almost all of these effects are strike powers above, which deal damage and confer a condition onto the target that you hit. But the conditions are typically better than what the masteries have. Like, for example, grapple, melee only. This is not a weapon mastery, it's a combat mastery. So as long as I'm using a melee weapon I'm proficient with, when the target makes a strength or dexterity save, if they fail, they're grappled. But I can't use the weapon to make attacks until the grapple ends, because I'm using the weapon to grapple you. That kind of makes sense, right? Well, there's a grappling strike above that. When I hit you, I deal damage, and you're automatically grappled as a result of it, tying up the use of your weapon in the process. So the strikes cost mana, but they're better than the masteries, and they deal extra damage. So there's a really great divide between cost versus 0 cost. But I could do these all day in and out of combat. So they have value. The other thing that I could prepare are feats. So a feat, if you prepare a feat this way, you do not have any prerequisites to take that feat, but you also don't gain any ability score bonuses. So at first, at the level that we're at with the Barbarian, our third level is a Barbarian. We get, we're fourth level. We're fourth level as a Barbarian, so we get 7 prepared powers, and we have 4 mana. So I could take, if I wanted to, 7 feats off of this stack. You can notice skilled is not one of the feats that is allowed, but all the fighting styles are here. All of the most of the general feats are here, as well as origin feats, but skilled, for instance, is not. So there's a ton of utility that you can toss in on top of your character. If you don't want to use mana at all, you could just completely ignore your mana pool and just really lean into feats and combat masteries. But then the third option is damage. So at first level, here's our first rank. Here's all the types of damage that you could choose to deal with your weapon. And at 5th level, this is when the rest of the types of, let's go with first rank. And then we'll go advanced this is probably a better way of wording that, 2nd rank. So by the time 5th level is when a single class character gets access to 2nd rank powers. So by 5th level, my Barbarian could use Force, Necrotic, Psychic, or Radiant damage if I chose to use one of my prepared powers that way. This is going to give the DM a lot of latitude in granting monsters immunities resistances and rewarding players for studying their foe and paying attention to grant vulnerabilities to particular types of damage, as well as something we have which are lethality. Lethality is if you take any damage of the listed source, of the listed type of damage, it gets killed. So it's basically you can convert anything into a minion using lethality, and you can apply these things as you need as a DM. Like you could be fighting ogres at 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th level, but when you get to 7th level, ogres might be trivial at that point, so you could administer lethality, all types of damage, against onto the ogres. So all you gotta do is hit them and they die. This very much coincides with the 4E idea that any creature can be converted into a minion. It works like normal, but it has that 1 hit point caveat. So we could make a fire elemental have lethality against cold damage, or we could have a what would be another fun idea? Undead, like skeletons, could have lethality against radiant damage after a while. So, and you can apply those things as you need to be able to balance your combat to help your players have fun and enjoy throwing their resources at stuff. So that gives you a reason to pay attention to what are we going into and fighting, and what kind of, because all these characters can swap all of their powers when they gain a level, and they can change one power that they have prepared every time they finish a long rest. They can swap one power. So you can evolve your kit of powers to coincide with the type of adventures you're having in your campaign at the level that you're at, by just paying attention to the environment, maybe even doing some research on the type of creatures. You could discover that they have vulnerabilities, which could then lean into lethalities with low CR creatures. It's a great way for you. Like the minion system is fantastic. MCDMs, what is it? Something foe, something, whatever. And all of 4th edition had these minion ideas. So, Flea Mortals, that's what it's called. He's a big 4E fan. So, I mean, I gotta give him respect for that. They had great monster design, like conceptual design. So these are the ways that we can, and here's the different types of damage that are aligned, as it were, with each of the Ravnica guilds, the colleges of Strixhaven, and the deities of Theros. So, let's see. Beep, beep, beep. Boop, 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 boop. Right. So we have 7 powers, and one of the design restrictions we have for the lulls of it. Basically, we have 7 powers. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Equals. Yeah, fantastic. It's a fantastic skirmish game. If you ever played the 3E skirmish game, you can kind of taste where 4E came from. The Miniatures Handbook was in 3E, and then because that really leaned into miniature combat. And then there was the skirmish. I think it was just called Skirmish, yeah, which was a 3E mini game where you would have a squad of creatures as token, like as miniatures on a grid, and like a Drow priest would be worth like 110 points, while a goblin would be worth like 15. Kind of like army building with Warhammer. You get a certain amount of points. You'd have your opposing squads on either end of the map, and then you would basically conduct battle and work with each other. You know, you'd have your team synergized to attack your opponent, and whoever achieved the goal of that map, whether it was like steal the treasure, kill all the enemies, control a zone, stuff like that. It was a really neat little miniatures game. I actually played that. I actually did that play by post via email back in like I want to say 2002. No, maybe it was 2005 when that came out. Super fun though. I was a member of the DMsGuild. I love DDM. Right on. Right on. So, okay, great. So we've got 7 powers. Let's look at the reason we want to spend time here is because we wanted to build a character that doesn't have to spend mana. Now, granted, you have Dire Impact, and you can turn that on, and when you do, it just stays on. So you've got a pool of 4 mana, and you only have to spend 1 point to trigger Dire Impact. turn that on and just leave it on. You're good to go. But then, if you want to use Retaliate as a reaction, it's going to cost you a point of mana every time you do it. So what we want to do then is use the Efficient Power feat, which we introduced in this system. Efficient Power is repeatable. Choose one power from the discipline list when you select this feat. I think I'll select Retaliate. When you channel the chosen power, you gain 1 temporary point of mana to do so. You can take this feat multiple times, choosing a different power each time. So me using Retaliate as a reaction triggers the point of mana. It generates the point of mana I need to channel Retaliate. So it pays for itself by taking a feat to do so. So I'm reducing the amount of options that I have, but in doing so, it makes 1 mana effects effectively free to use. So a lot of the mana stuff that's in the game is no more powerful than some of the feats that have been introduced, like Interpose and stuff like that. Those are decent, like battle maneuvers. Battle maneuvers used to cost a superiority die to use. A superiority die is equal to a point of mana. So you can, ergo, if we can remove the cost of of battle masteries to make them become feats for free that you can just use whenever you trigger them, we can do the same thing this way by having a feat make your first rank maneuvers become 0 cost. And those can be the sustained powers. You could make that 0 cost if I wanted to and completely ignore the mana pool, but there's no reason to. It doesn't make the cost 0, so I can't just stack 100 first rank powers onto my character. It generates a point of mana when I channel the effect. So at 3rd level, 4th level, whatever, I can only have 1 rank of sustained powers on my character, and that point of mana would be generated for free if I took a feat. But that's a complete waste of the feat because I have nothing else to use my mana on other than sustaining a power. So I've got 4 mana. I only need to spend 1 point a day, assuming I don't get dinged or knocked unconscious. But if I do get dropped, if I do get incapacitated, I want to have that pocket of mana so I can turn Dire Impact back on. So there's that. So our first feat is going to be feat, Efficient Power, Retaliate. There, first rank power, efficient. And now the Dire Impact we don't have to worry about. We're looking to build a character that doesn't have to think about mana from turn to turn. Granted, you can generate mana with your action economy, but if you don't rely on action economy to generate mana, then you can use all of your action economy to do cool stuff. So that's what we want to kind of lean into. We can already get the extra. Whoa. Okay, so something that we do need to pay attention to is class features. So let's dip into that. And where'd you go, buddy? Martial power, efficient power, barbarian. Okay, so let's look at the frenzied ability. When you hit with using your reckless attack, while your rage is active, you deal 1 extra power die of damage. This can be added to any mana spent to channel a strike power. So anytime I hit while rage is active, I deal a power die, but I don't actually have to use a strike power to do so. So I don't actually have to purchase any strike powers. I get that extra die of damage for free because of Frenzy. So I'm very happy about that. So we now get to really lean into feats, damage, and combat masteries. So alert is a pretty good. Let's look at Savage Attacker real quick, because I don't remember how Savage Attacker works. Savage Attacker. Arg. You're trained to deal particularly damaging strikes once per turn. When you hit a target with a weapon, you can roll the weapon's damage die twice and use either roll against the target. Okay, cool. Let's take it. At this level, it's not. Again, these are prepared. So right now, this is useful. Tomorrow, when I finish my long rest, I might not want Dire Impact or Savage Attacker. I could pick something else. Let's see, what other cool feats are out there? Or maybe I want to lean into weapon masteries. Or maybe I want to lean into damage. Let's take a look at damage real quick to see if there's anything cool that sparks our passion. Shantui. This sparks joy. What kind of joy do we want? Lightning? That's pretty joyful. Yeah, let's go with lightning. So we're gonna go with damage type, lightning. Equals you can choose to deal lightning damage when you hit with a weapon. When you hit with a weapon. And that also includes unarmed strikes and natural weapons. So like if I were going to make a Minotaur out of this, the Minotaur, the horns, I could deal lightning damage instead of piercing damage if I wanted to. But it's up to me. I can choose it as I please. So feet, and let's see. Feet, damage. Do I need another type of damage? Nah. I'm just going to go with lightning because it's fun. Let's look at weapon masteries. Or combat masteries in general. Actually, that's a great question. Let's go to Battle Axe, because we'll probably be using a Battle Axe because super cool. Bottle Axe. That sounds wrong. Battle Axe isn't listed at all. See, Battle Axe is here. It wasn't there when I typed it in a moment ago. I really don't think this is a very good website. Where's my Battle Axe, dude? See? Battle Axe. They got all these references, but they don't tell me what a fucking Battle Axe is. This is the worst. It is just the worst website. And they want everyone to use this. It's a shame. Is there a Battle Axe out here someplace? I mean, there are battle axes in the game. Am I freaking crazy? Let's just, I guess not. Let's go to weapon list. I could swear. No, I could swear. Oh my God, this is killing me. See how difficult this book is? Let's alphabetize our list of bullshit. On a scale of 1 to 10, wizards, you have failed. See? Battle Axe. It freaking exists. I'm not crazy. What? Oh my God. What about here? Is this from a weird book? No, it's from the Player's Handbook. And it just, topple. You get the topple mastery with that. If you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force a creature to make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature has the prone condition. So there you go. So topple's a thing. So I don't need to necessarily take that mastery if I'm going to take Battle Axe as my weapon. So let's go to attacks equals Battle Axe. Topple. Oh, it's versatile. Topple, versatile. Plus attack, D8, 2D8 plus. It's not. No, it's 1D8 plus 1d6 plus blank 1d10 plus 1d6 plus blank topple versatile 5 feet reach plus blank attack damn 1d8 slash 1d blot. Okay, cool. So that's our attack. We'll have horns. Natural. Five-foot reach plus attack. Damn something. I don't know what it is yet. We'll figure it out. But I'm not gonna spend a lot of time doing species right now. I just want to focus on getting the powers done. We've already got the subclasses and stuff, but I'll build all the skills and stuff like that at a later time. It's just, you know, flavor to choice. It's up to you. Let's see. So we get topple. I like the idea of goring people. That sounds like fun. So if I gore somebody, what feels like push and grapple. Those. Oh my god, I love that. If I'm going to grapple with my horns, I've basically impaled you, and I can't use my horns on somebody else until I flick them off of me, and then attack somebody else, or they pry themselves off of my horns. I love that. That is so freaking cool. So this is a mastery, and it's going to be grapple only. I fucking love that. So cool. So let's go with it. So I'm creating these mana 0 cost characters because I think we're going to have some people playing with us on Saturday that have never played before or aren't familiar with the martial power system yet. So I want to make it as easy for them to jump into the system right away without having to worry about what do I know, what I don't know. Do you know how masteries work? Cool. Well, then you can use them with this. Do you know how feats work? Yes, you do. Okay, cool. Well, these are the feats that you have. So, like, if you know how the game works, you can just play. So that's the intent. Let's go here. There, like that. And then so we have mastery, grapple. I also want to take mastery. Is it push or shove? Oops, didn't mean to close that. Really didn't. Reopen. Scroll down. Push. The one who asterisks are weapon masteries. So, but again, the way that the combat masteries works is that if you're prepared it, you can use it with any weapon that you're proficient with, like including ranged weapons. Push equals. You hit a target, a size large or smaller, you can push them 10 feet. But like the thundering strike above here, just because we haven't looked at it, let's take a look real quick, just so you have an idea of how these things work, right? So the push mastery is the target you hit that is size large or smaller is moved up to 10 feet away from you. While the thundering strike power is a first rank power. Your weapon can deal thunder damage instead of its normal damage type, and you increase damage by 1 power die per mana expended this way. A creature is pushed directly away from you up to 10 feet for each point of mana expended. So if I spent 9th level, I spend 3 mana. It's a D8. I deal extra 3d8 damage, and I could push the target up to 30 feet directly away from me. With the push mastery below, it doesn't specify which direction they're going to get pushed, because if you try to push somebody up 10 feet, they can just land and they're not going to take any damage. If they, but if you use the Thundering Strike, and I don't specify that you have to push them directly away from you, then you could potentially push them up into the sky, and then have them drop for falling damage, which is basically doubling the amount of power dice that you get on damage in that sense. And that's cheating. So we had to specify directly. If they're already flying and you push them, they're just going to get pushed further into the sky. They're already flying. Who cares? So that's a consideration that we had to take into account for, which we found and realized as a result of somebody doing sky juggling in the power system. So playing the game makes your game better. You got to play test. Equals target you hit that is size large or smaller is moved up to 10 feet away from you. Worth noting, the Thundering Strike doesn't have a size limit either. Any creature. There you go. Pop. Let's see. We still have two more powers, and then essentially we're done for the day. I'm going to spend time tonight and tomorrow fleshing out the rest of these characters. I'm actually going to be back tomorrow. My intention is to be back on at 6:30 tomorrow morning, like a normal art day would be during the weekdays. But we're going to probably we're either going to build a monk or just make sure we got everything settled here so that we have everybody ready to go. But I want to have 4 sample characters ready to go for people to play, because my table, I have at least one veteran that knows how the system uses and has already built a customized action economy character to play the fantasy that they like. But I don't know how many new people are going to be joining us. So if they're brand new, this is a very easy way to settle them into it. And like once they grok it, the next time around they can build a completely different character or take one of these and modify them. But these are easy to use and ready to go. There you go. So we have 2 more mastery. We have 2 more powers to select. I think I'm thinking I'm going to pick up feats. So let's go down and look at our stack of feats. That's right. We haven't taken into account backgrounds. So let's go take a look at backgrounds. Backgrounds are after the character classes. We have all of the 2014 and 2024 classes updated using 2024 rules, in addition to the martial power system. So they're all here again for you guys to mess around with as much as you please. We also have all of the color mana revisions for all of the classes. So once we actually get down into them, past all of this rando stuff, Mrs. Magic Gear right now using the power system. Backgrounds, here you go. And then once we get past, I think it's after the backgrounds. Yeah, after the backgrounds, we get into the full casting classes, which we've already updated for the 2024 rules using the color mana system. Now I just need to rebuild the color mana books. And again, all of the color mana books are already available for you guys to look at. They are all right here. Just a quick tangent here. Like, for example, the core mechanics, this covers the basic rules for bards, clerics, druids, warlocks, sorcerers, wizards, as well as monks using their key as mana, eldritch knights, and arcane tricksters. Ooh, that's a slow load, my guy. Thank you. 75-page document. And this is the first book that I published on my own on DMsGuild in 2018. So it needs a glam up. And we've been using these color mana systems in my own home games for years. So there's a lot of improvements that we can make, that we can implement. But yeah, the whole book is here. You can check out how the systems work. But if you pick it up now, you'll get the 2024 book for free. So if you want to support that behavior, go ahead and grab it. And I'm 2 sales away from this becoming a gold bestseller. So if you like the stuff, consider purchasing it so I can have a feather in my cap. No requirement. Here's the revisions that we made to the color mana system. Initially, each spell had only one color that it was devoted to, but with expanding use and reiterations, we found, it's a little restrictive. So let's open up what each spell. So here's our damage matrix. Each type of damage is associated with a type of color. And we have the basic tenets of like what kind of defines in D&D terminology what each of these colors are, like mechanically, like as tags. So if you take the tags and you combine it with the damage types, you come up with your matrix. Like let's go to Fireball, right? 3rd level spell. Very iconic, simple to understand. Fireball. 3rd level spell, it's red. Big surprise. Fire is red in Magic the Gathering. There you go. And almost unconditionally just red. There's like out of thousands of cards, there's like maybe 1 or 2 spells, spell cards in Magic the Gathering that have fire that aren't specifically red. But otherwise, there's hundreds of fire-based spells that are all red. So there we go. So it's the mana system is very simple. 3rd level spells requires 3 mana. 1 point has to be red. The other 2 points can be whatever you want. So if you have a Gruul character that's a spellcaster and lobs a fireball, Gruul has red and green magic. So that fireball could either be 3 red, 1 red and 2 green, 2 red and 1 green, any combination that you want. But red and green is pretty restrictive. Like, for example, if I wanted to have counterspell as a Gruul mage, am I shit out of luck because it's blue? No. You can spend downtime to meditate, research, whatever research rules you're using to convert counterspell to be either a red or green spell, up to you. Or you could prepare it twice. So if you've got 9 spells that you can normally prepare, you could pick up counterspell, and then you could translate counterspell into a color that you want, and then you still have 7 spells open for you to pick from. And we give characters more spells than what the 2024 Player's Handbook does, because we anticipate having to shuffle colors like that. So we're building that in. Or you can just restrict yourself to, like, I'm only going to use red and green spells, but to reward you for having a tight theme built around your character, you can get more of those red and green spells. So that's how it works. Let's see where we were. Where was that? Here we go. Oh, that's right. We were looking at backgrounds. That just clued you in. It's like this book is, if you like the color mana system, this book has a shitload of stuff for you to play with, which will eventually translate into actual books. So we're looking at Gruul, and we didn't pluck the Gruul stuff. Hold on. I have that in a saved document. That's right. I was contemplating our future with that stuff. And let's go with Martial Powers 12/17/2024. And there we go. Thank you. Let's go back to the page we were on. And let's look at Gruul. Ravnica Guild backgrounds. Here we go. Gruul. Wrong one. That's the one I wanted. 4/13/24. Thank you. This has the mods. There. Full stack. Let's see if it's still current. Gruul. We're not worrying about cantrips right now, but we get Goading Strike and Veterinary. Veterinary Training doesn't exist anymore. So this is going to be Breath of Life. But let's grab Goading. Okay, so we actually get some powers. So let's take a look at what they do. We get Goading Strike. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I'm derping. Let's stop derping. Let's go up here to Gruul equals Strike 1, Goading Strike, and Gruul equals, what's the other rule? It was veterinary training. That doesn't exist anymore. So let's go with exploit 1, which is breath of life. Equals. Cool. So let's go back up to our list of cool shit. And first we'll look at breath of life. So Gruul is green, red and green magic. Green and white are like healing generally. And green is also natural processes. Sleep, for example, is a green spell. Breath of life. When you make an ability check to stabilize a dying creature, you automatically succeed, and the target gains a number of hit points equal to the result of one power die roll. So at third level, it's a D6. And this costs 1 point for me to use. So we're going to make it efficient, so we don't actually have to spend any mana to use it, which you can decide to change later, of course. Breath of life. There we go. When you make an ability check to stabilize a dying creature, you automatically succeed. And the target gains 1d6. Or 1d12 if I decide to use channeling power. Hit points. Now you only get hit points if you're at 0, if you're dying and you need to be stabilized. So once you're stabilized, I can't just spam this power over and over again. No, you have to be dead. So, or dying. So its usefulness is incredibly limited. So let's go here and go 6 equals feet. Efficient power. Breath of life. Is that a waste for us to invest a power into making breath of life free? Well, if you don't have any mana, it's going to come in real handy right now. But ultimately, yeah, it's a waste. But we're making a character that doesn't require any kind of maintenance, any mana maintenance to be able to play. Feet. So give me a second here. We'll look at Goading Strike. So let's go to the strike powers. Anyway, it turns out we need a strike power. So we're going to get 2 dice out of this. Goading Strike. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana channeled. The creature you strike has disadvantage on any attack made that doesn't target you. The effect ends if it can no longer see you or when it successfully hits you with an attack. The creature can attempt to end the effect early by succeeding an intelligence saving throw at the end of each of its turns. And all powers like this last 1 minute unless it says so otherwise. So it's very easy for you to remember. They all have a range of 60 feet, and they all last 60 seconds. 60 and 60. Super easy to remember unless it specifically says something different. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die, increases by 1d6 or 1d12 because you're a barbarian. The creature you strike has disadvantage on attack rolls made that doesn't target you. The effect ends if it can no longer see you when it succeeds a successful saving throw. And the DC, let's go to our class features. Channeling, strength, DC is going to be 8. It's going to be 10, proficiency bonus plus strength, whatever that's going to end up being. I don't need to save that. I am really considering adding the rage bonus to the DC of your powers. I want to test that. I like that idea. I want to test that. Mindless rage, frenzy. Let's go back up here to empowered rage. In addition, you can expend a use of rage to regain point, forcing a target to make a save or spending a bonus action. While raging, the DC... while raging, your channeling DC increases. While raging, add your rage bonus to the to your channeling DC. There. Strength +2. That's pretty juicy. The spell point sorcerer we've been designing, the sorcerer focus or whatever it is, the sorcerer's rage, it ramps bonuses as well. It starts with a +1 at first level, and at 17th level, it's a +5 to the DC of your saving throws. So it similarly ramps as well. So worth keeping in mind. This has the precedence. So I'm gonna put rage in front of channeling, just for the lulz. There. That feels good. I like that. And I can spell all this stuff later. Frenzied, A-OK. Let's bump this back to, where are we at? Frenzied. There we go. Okay, so these things, so Goading Strike, it has a D6, and it forces the target to have disadvantage. This is a super useful feat, a super useful thing to have be free. So that's what we're going to do. Efficient power, Goading Strike, feat, efficient power, breath of life. Now at higher levels, like at 5th level plus, if I keep this effect on my character, I'm going to change this to 1. I'm going to just dump these things in here real quick. Gruel, breath of life is already up in here. Up in here. Like at 5th rank, I could put 2 mana into my Goading Strike. 1 point is paid for automatically by the efficient power, and then I'd have to pay a single point out of my own pocket or action economy to get the 2nd point. But then with Frenzy, I get the 3rd damage die on top of it. So it gets a little crazy. Like, you can deal some serious damage with this stuff. But that's fun because you want to kill creatures fast and good in 2024. They do really mean stuff to you. I am looking forward to becoming more acquainted with the new nasty monster manual. There. And then we get an ASI bonus from our feat. We get our background equals, I don't know what our background is going to, wait, yeah, I do. Gruel background is origin feat. Choose one. Alert. Let's take alert. Savage attacker we picked up. That's cool. Let's go with background equals alert. And no, it's not background. It's Gruel. Gruel equals alert. And then we get 4th level equals ASI +1 +1, and I don't know where we're gonna put that, but we get to put it somewhere, and so we will. Oh yeah, and then in addition, Gruel is either strength, dex. The default is strength or dexterity. That's what Gruel thinks about, or we can choose to. So we'll probably go with strength. We'll probably go +2 and +2 from our ASI and our Gruul boost, plus whatever else we get. Like standard array is 15, 13, 12, 11, 10, 8. So probably just want to put modifier plus. We're gonna go with. Oops. Roll. Total. So that's going to be, the 15 is going to go there. We'll put the 12 there. We'll put the 13 there. We'll put the 8 in intelligence. We'll put the 10 in wisdom. And we'll put the charisma at 11. And then we're going to get a +2 stat bonus here. And we're going to get a +2 stat bonus here. So our mod is going to be +3, +1, +2, -1, 0, 0. And then what? Barbarian save is Strength Con, right? And then we'll be done. Strength Con, thank you. +5, +1, +4, -1, +0, +0, and just to cap stuff off, we'll go Barbarian, Berserker, species background, Minotaur, Gruul, character name, Gruul Berserker, armor class, I don't know yet. Don't know. Hit points is going to start with 12, and then we're going to get 6, 7, 6, so that's 19, 29, 31. And then an extra 16 is 47. Tanky. And then we get our mana is 4, red and green. And then move, there's our movements. Okay, cool. So that's our start. I don't know exactly how far where we're going to end up at, but let's see. It's going to be a plus. It's a +7 to attack, and damage is a +5, 7, 9, depending on if I have dire impact on and if I'm raging or not. So my damage is going to be a fat +9 bonus. Holy Hannah, that's awesome. +5, +7, +9. And then horns, 5-foot reach equals +7 attack. Damage, I think it's a D4, 1dx +5. Parentheses, Kearney. 7, 9. Thank you. And then we get to use our con mod. Dex and Con plus light armor. So we're gonna go with leather is leather is 12 for studded, I think, and then +5. So armor class is 17. Oh wait, unarmored defense, 15. There we go. And that's the base of our core character. I'll flesh out the skills, tools, and then specifications for the Minotaur off screen. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning, and we're going to mess around with this stuff some more. I think we'll see about Yeah, we'll build a monk. And then I'm probably going to pre-build the monk and just walk through what the monk gets to make sure I get it completed within the time frame that I need for the 9:30 start tomorrow. So if I have time, so I should have time left over, and if I do, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll do something. We'll figure it out. So anyway, let's stay surprised together. I'm out of here for now. Hey, Steve, thanks for hanging out. Anyone else that thinks this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, bell icons for notification. Check out my Discord down below to jump into the fray if you're interested. We can have up to 5 playtesters per game. Currently, I'm running a game on Saturday. I think Nick has joined the server, and I think he wants to run a game using martial powers as well. So if you can't play on Saturday morning, or if we don't have enough room, there should be a second game that's gearing up. Peace out. Yeah. So I'll see you guys then. I hope to catch some of you guys tomorrow morning or on my server in the future. Cheers.